Scrimmage 1 has come and gone, and it sounds like, according to reports, the offense probably won the day.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. This is Locked On Vols, and I am your host, Cain. We're here to discuss the takeaways from Scrimmage number 1 for Tennessee football in fall camp, a collection of notes from some credible reports out there, from those media outlets such as VolQuest.com, Knoxville News Sentinel, what Josh Heupel said while he was in attendance as well, some things that I've been told on the phone here this afternoon for people who were in attendance, and trying to cobble those all together and try to get a picture of what really went down at Neyland Stadium this morning, because that's kind of what this is, right? That's close to the media. We can't be in there. Families are in there. There's some people close to the program who are in there, of course, but I can't get in there. They don't invite me in there. I don't know why. And so whenever we're talking about who shined, who stood out in scrimmages, both in spring and in fall camp, Josh Heupel might give you a little bit of that answer, but for the most part, you got to do some digging, and that's kind of how this is. And so, again, it's not like going to Neyland Stadium on a Saturday afternoon and watching Tennessee play Furman, and you come back away and like, hey, here are my takeaways. Yeah, you watched the football game too. We can all have takeaways together. You really kind of have to dig for some of these. So a lot of this stuff, I still have many questions. I still have more phone calls to make. I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple of people who were in attendance and trying to, find some consistent themes from the day. But here's what's I've been told so far about the scrimmage, and from what others have also reported out there as well. I think from the collection of notes that I've had so far, I would say that if you had to pick a winner of the day, probably would be the offense, and that's encouraging, okay? But like I always say, it's a catch-22, right? When you're scrimmaging yourself, when you're practicing against yourself, and Josh Heupel's head coach, right? But we know he's an offensive guy, so it's like, oh yeah, you did some good things here, but man, on defense, you gotta be better there. Or man, the offensive line just dominated, right? But the defensive line's pathetic. You know what I'm saying? So there's always a catch-22. I've been told that for a first scrimmage, this was good. I don't think Tennessee was particularly like winning any awards in terms of being the cleanest football team. There are plenty of mistakes out there that they've got to tighten up on, that I was told, and Josh Heupel said that after the scrimmage as well, okay? But for a first scrimmage, it was good, for what I was told. Remember, they will scrimmage again a week from today, scrimmage number 2, and you hope that a starting quarterback announcement will be made in short turn after that, heading into the mock game week that week after that. All right. One of the first phone calls I made after the scrimmage, of course, one of the first questions was quarterbacks. Was told in short order that Faizon was better in the scrimmage from what I was told, in that opinion of the person that I talked to, but that George MacIntyre wasn't bad. And just because someone was better, again, this can be opinions based, and whenever you go back and check the tape, like Josh Heupel's surely going to do, only his opinion's the only one that matters. But from one of the people I spoke to, they said Faizon was better, but George MacIntyre was not bad. Ian Duarte scored a touchdown. DeJuan Morris had a long touchdown, was told a long touchdown later in the VolQuest 2-minute drill that's out there on YouTube. Austin Price said it was the 99-yard variety, so that is considered a long touchdown for Tennessee running back DeJuan Morris. Heard the run game overall was good, and Josh Heupel echoed that. After the scrimmage, saying that they're in a really, really good spot. Collectively as a group, they're in a really, really good spot. Real quick, here's what Josh Heupel said about the running backs in scrimmage number 1 and to this point in fall camp.
Bake, Gordon, DeJuan, all of them are playing, competing at a really high level. When you have real competition in your position room, it's the best friend you have as a coach, and you can see those guys. They feel the urgency of taking advantage of every rep, and every single day. And that room is collectively as a group is playing really good football right now.
Sounds like Tennessee did a good job running the football here today, so that would tell me that the offensive line, at least in the run game, did its part. I don't know. I don't have any specifics on Ori Williams or anything like that at right tackle, but it sounds like Tennessee ran the football pretty well. And, if you have a 99-yard touchdown run, well, that means you're running the football well, but that also means that the defensive line, or the defense in general, not just defensive line, but the defense in general in the rush defense, a lot of holes, things you got to clean up. And again, that's that catch-22 I'm talking about. Offensively, you run the football well, that means rush defense is not where it needs to be. And it sounds like that was one of the takeaways defensively, was the rush defense has got to improve and got to get a little better. And for me, where you say it all the time early in camp, like the defense is typically ahead of the offense, and that's usually the case. But nowadays, how you don't tackle that much, and Josh Heupel said that they tackled over 50% of the scrimmage, but you don't tackle to the ground as much as you used to. I think that's changing. I really do, because from the physicality standpoint, if you're not practicing going to the ground every single day and finishing your tackles, how can you be better defensively? And this is coming from a guy that used to play defense. Like, that's tough. And so I think that narrative's changing a little bit, because you don't tackle all the way to the ground for the most part. But anyway, back to the scrimmage. I heard that Faizon throwing the football, the deep throws, throwing the football down the field. He had a couple of long receptions in this football game, long completions in this football game, and that's a strength of his. It really is. And what do you know? Josh Heupel, that offense, stretching the defense vertically, stretching that secondary vertically down the field. You need that. And it sounds like Faizon Brandon connecting on a few deep balls in this scrimmage. And, going into the weekend on Friday's show, I said, what do you want to hear? Some explosives. And that is what the offense, it sounds like, kind of gave us. And a couple of those deep throws were completed by Faizon Brandon. That's not to say that Faizon Brandon was great all around and everything, but that's one of the things I was told that he excelled in the scrimmage. This is something that was told to me after the scrimmage, but also has been a constant theme when I ask about George MacIntyre. George MacIntyre's had a good camp. I think George MacIntyre was good in Saturday's scrimmage, but one thing that I feel like, at least that I've been told, that could hold George back in this quarterback competition is his tendency to hold on to the football. Holding on to the football a little bit too long, not being decisive enough and just getting rid of it and throwing. And you don't want to be careless with it. I'm not trying to say that. And Josh Heupel said that both quarterbacks have been protecting the football. They protected it on Saturday. They haven't been turning the football over much. You don't want to be careless with the football, but you can't sit back there and just take sack after sack after sack. What was it? Was it Deshaun Watson a couple years ago with the Houston Texans gave up like 55 or 60 sacks or whatever? And a lot of those could be put on, sure, the offensive line was trash, but a lot of those could have been put on Watson back in the day, back when he was actually a good quarterback, because you just hold on to the football, and that's not something you want to be doing. I was told that George played well, made some good throws. I think Pete Nakos put out there that Arion Carter had an interception. I think Volquez also put that out there, but Arion Carter had an interception as well, but that was more of just a fantastic athletic play by Arion Carter in pass coverage, more so than a bad throw by the quarterback, right? And so I think that was kind of the takeaways. Quarterbacks, I don't think were perfect. I think they were far from it. I do think that, based on what I've told, that they were protecting the football. But I guess one of my biggest takeaways I'm drawing from what I've heard and what I've read so far is that Faizon connected on some balls deep down the field, and well, that's exciting, right? That's something you want to hear. How was he in the other throws? I don't know. I don't know. How accurate was he in the intermediate, the short? How was he in making the correct decisions? I don't know. Again, there's a lot that we don't know about the scrimmages, but from what I've been told, he connected down the field a little bit, and heard that George MacIntyre got off to a pretty solid start in the scrimmage as well. What else about the scrimmage have I heard? Have I read so far about Tennessee football in fall camp? That's coming up next. We continue on here. It's a little bonus content. One more segment to go. Recapping massive takeaways from Tennessee football fall scrimmage number 1. Support for today's episode comes from Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits and you need to make the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and locations. So less time gets spent searching, more time gets spent on finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute or so that I'll be speaking with you, companies like yours can make 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So you can spend less time searching and actually finding the right candidates to fit all the things that you need. Less stress for you, less time searching, more results. So when you need the right person to cut through all the chaos, this is the job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status that it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Head on over to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? Sounds like a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. So big shout out to Indeed, and we'll talk about Kalshi here. Before the season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy by season's end? On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. Let's talk about the Tennessee Volunteers, right? The team that we cover here on Locked On Vols. Can Tennessee win at least 9 games this season? Tennessee is currently trading at a 36% probability, meaning a $100 trade would pay out to $246.44 right now if Tennessee reaches 9 wins. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position, trade the draft pick, the game, and more on Kalshi. Download the Kalshi app and use promo code LOCKEDON to get your $10 when you trade $10. Kalshi, 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 trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see Kalshi.com/regulatory. So big thank you to Kalshi. And let's check out Odoo right now. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never really designed to work together. One for accounting, one for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to one another. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of just managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working together for one common goal. And that's true in sports just like it is in business, right? Tennessee's in training camp right now. Week 1's in just a couple of weeks away. Everybody in fall camp is working towards that one goal. That's beating Furman. That's beating Georgia Tech in week 2. It takes a complete buy-in and an alignment of coaches, players, and support staffers, all that, to be the best that you can be. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try it for free at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon. Try it today. That's odoo.com/locked-on. Tennessee football scrimmage number 1 is in the book. Scrimmage number 2 is coming up next week, so we'll do a little something similar next weekend for sure. One big, massive injury of note: Edrees Farooq is going to be out for the season. That news broke on Friday morning that the injury occurred, and then of course Tennessee football sent out a statement earlier on Saturday morning saying that it is a season-ending injury, a torn patellar tendon in his right knee. That was suffered on Friday morning. So we'll have more on that. I'm actually going to do an episode tomorrow morning specifically on that injury to Edrees Farooq, what this means, and just how devastating it is for a guy that was having, quite frankly, a hell of an offseason. So that's coming up on Sunday morning, so don't forget to tune in for that on the way to or from church or to Sunday lunch. We'll have some more Locked On Vols. All right, so I talked a little bit about the quarterbacks. Again, Faizon, I think, connected down the field a little bit in this one, which is really, really good, right? I'm not sure who threw the touchdown pass to Ian Duarte, but I did hear that was a red zone completion as well for a touchdown. Also heard that both quarterbacks, probably more George than Faizon, dealt with wide receiver drops, tight end drops. That happens, right? I mean, if you're a pass catcher, that happens. We saw a period earlier last week in routes on air versus the end zone, or routes on air into the end zone, and it was not a clean period. Darius Jackson had a couple of drops. I mean, that happens, right? I mean, especially if you're catching like, hundreds of footballs a day, you're going to have some drops, right? But I don't think that that was a strong point in this scrimmage. I think that Faizon Brandon didn't have his best day. I think that there were some other drops. Tyreek King, the freshman, who was actually playing in his first scrimmage, right? Because he wasn't here in spring, he just continues to impress. I mean, he really continues to impress, the Knoxville Catholic product. And like he's buried on the depth chart behind Joakim Dotson, of course, Braylon Staley. But can he help in special teams? And could he, I don't know, the guy, his name continue, like when I'm out there on the practice field for the minimal time that we get to be out there watching, he's standing out. Then I heard his name a lot after the scrimmage. That's awesome for a local product. So Tyreek King, I think who had maybe had a drop today as well, but also, made some plays down the field. Mentioned the Juwan Morris 99-yard touchdown run, 99 yards. Credit that to Austin Price of VolQuest.com and the VolQuest 2-minute drill. I did hear that it was a long touchdown run. Did not know it was 99 yards. Goodness gracious. Also heard that Javin Gordon is looking really good. Heard that he had a couple of nice runs in the scrimmage on Saturday and probably poised to, again, Morris had 99-yard touchdown run, so it's not like he's just going to be like, all right, you could be the backup to Deshaun Bishop. It sounds like just that running game altogether is in a really, really good spot. Heard Mike Matthews is continuing his strong fall camp. Think Darius Jackson had a couple of early receptions. Joakim Dotson continues to I'm buying stock in the running back room and the wide receiver room. Like, sure, we don't know who wide receiver number 3 is right now, but you continue to hear a ton of really good things about Matthews, who we know is going to play, right? Joakim Dotson, Tyreek King. I'm buying stock in the wide receiver room and in the running back room because it feels like there's just so much depth at that position for sure. So much depth at that position for sure. So defensively, like if there was a bad, I don't know if you characterize anything as bad in the scrimmage. I just felt like defensively struggled to stop the run. Obviously struggled to defend, balls down the field on a couple of those deep throws that the offense completed. So again, I don't feel comfortable sitting here saying that the offense 100% won the day, the defense was terrible, because I didn't see it. I'm just going off what I've been told and going off, what credible reporters such as Austin and Brent saying the VolQuest 2-minute drill and stuff like that. Like, I wasn't there. But, you do hear some things, and hopefully I'll hear some more throughout the weekend as well. So, anyway, it sounds like, again, as the first person I talked to after the scrimmage said, hey, for a first scrimmage, it was a good first scrimmage, right? It was a good day of work. It's a really good day of work. Josh Heupel, if you watch his, media scrum with the media afterwards, sound like he, was pretty pleased with kind of where they are. But knows that there's some work to do, knows that there's a lot of work to do. So, it's where you end Saturday today. And then you look at that depth chart and kind of the rotation chart from Monday's starting practice, and it's like, okay, well, here I am. I got one more full week of fall camp to go and get after it. I got one more test next Saturday to get after it, because after that, those reps are few and far between because you shift into mock game week and then into game week. So this last week of fall camp, this is kind of what I view as the last week of fall camp. Like you got to get after it if you're some of these guys. And that goes for both of these quarterbacks who's trying to lock down a starting job. Sounds like it was a good fall scrimmage number 1 for Tennessee football. We'll continue to learn more about what happened, and we'll discuss it right here on Locked On Vols. Coming up on tomorrow's show on a Sunday morning, we will break down the Edrees Farooq injury, what comes next for the Tennessee Volunteers, all that and more right here on Locked On Vols. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday and weekend, everybody.